Good news, everybody. This is Tech coming directly to you through the power of the internet via the YouTube video sharing platform. Today, I'm going to give you a quick little review of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1923. And before I get into that, please leave your comments below. I appreciate it, and also like or dislike this video. If it's not what you wanted, just hit dislike, okay? Hit dislike if you don't think it's any good, okay? First and foremost, now if you've kind of been following my reviews, it's not unusual for me to take the title screen and make a thumbnail out of that title screen. But whoever came up with this design for this title screen is just really bad at art, or really doesn't understand contrast and all. So seriously, the lettering is awesome for the era in which the movie is represented in. Okay, and I mean the era in which Quasimodo and Esmeralda and everything else, the story goes on. And also is quite good for the era of movie. However, the background they chose is a mixture of dark and white. It looks like leaves or pebbles. I have no freaking clue why you would choose such a background for a title screen. It has to be one of the worst I've ever seen, and it obscures the width or whatever the hell that's supposed to be, and some of the lettering kind of gets I don't know if it's the copy, but I'm quite sure that it's not a terribly good idea I know for a fact it's not a good idea to have white irregular pieces in a gray and black background with white text over the top of it with very fine stylized font. It's just a terrible idea. Don't fucking do it. I practically have 1 year of college credits of art and design that basically tells me that is fudging stupid. Don't do it, okay? Now, that is probably about the worst thing about this movie. There's actually a few other small details. And by the way, this is the non-spoilers video. If someone wants me to do a spoilers video, I will do a spoilers video at some later point, or when demand is fairly high for it, or with spoilers version when demand is very high for it, or when I get around to it. One of those two things is going to happen first. First and foremost, what I'm not going to run the video or the movie or anything. I'll do that in the spoilers one. But first and foremost, I'll start with what I usually start with, which is A, this is a black and white film, and B, this is from the silent era. However, I must point out that silent era is not simply named that way because there is no sound. There is sound, but the technology of audio equipment at the time was extremely lacking, okay? So it's kind of hard to record people talking when your equipment is so large. If you put it in frame with them, it would be something like this, sitting right in front of them this close, okay? Yeah, all shots would be like this in silent era movies if they wanted to do audio on spot. But the first and foremost thing about the audio in this movie is, A, I will say this, the choice of songs, music, tunes, whatever you want to call them, is excellently picked out. The songs fit the scene very well, and the mood of the. I'm not just the environment, but also the mood that's going on in the scene. Second, unlike a lot of other silent films, there is a lot of sound effects in this movie. And crowd noises. Okay, the equipment was sufficiently good enough in audio technology that if you had, say, 100 people yelling and screaming, you could record 100 people yelling and screaming, and it would sound like a rabble. Okay, it wasn't good enough to record people just talking like this without having a lot of other interference or having to have the said device really close to them, so you would literally see it. Okay, but as far as that is concerned, I really do like the sound. I love the music. I love the sound effects, and I love whatever's the fragments of speech that are in the movie. It is just rabble noise of people yelling and screaming when major scenes happen. As I said before, this is a no spoilers video, so I'm not gonna tell you exactly what's gonna happen. There will be a rant. I'm gonna go off on a rant at the end of the video because one of those things I do when I do research is I come across stuff and sometimes I'm gonna get really pissed off. By the way, the legendary Lon Chaney is the star of the movie. However, even though he's billed as being the star, he kind of shares it with the actress and the competing characters. Okay, the story of the Hunchback Notre Dame is actually very much an interaction between 5 strong characters, with the Hunchback, well, actually 6 characters, but it's 5 characters, with the Hunchback existing with one other character as the major character that hinges a lot of the events off in directions. The other major character is Esmeralda. Okay, so the Hunchback and Esmeralda are the major chain characters that tie a lot of stuff together. And there's one other character that also covers that in the B character tier in the movie. So there's a lot of character interaction going back and forth here and there. The sets are, I'm going to get into scenery now and photography and stuff like. First and foremost, I will say this about the photography, the cinematography. You want to just go with that. It is very well done. It's basic. It's standard for the era, but it's very well set up. Lighting is very well done. What effects they do are very well done. The scenery is very well done. It is very well done all around. This is an award-winning movie, okay, from the era, okay? Lon Chaney won an award for this movie. And his acting is quite good. The next thing I'm going to talk about is I already I segued from the camera to the effects and the scenery, and that's all really good too. Now into, say, the story and acting part. The story and acting. First and foremost, this movie has an A plot, a B plot, a C plot, and then it even has a D and an E and an F plot, okay? Now the E and the F and the D and the E and the F plots are very short little plots. They're just in the story. They start from the beginning and they just happen out at the end. And the majority of them, start to finish, have a start, middle, and end to them, okay? So this is one of those movies where they go with they have 6 plots, 6 character arcs in here, and at least all the 5 of the most major ones finish out. There's a clear beginning, middle, and end to them, and there's character development to them. There is the sort of what I go with the F plot, the F plot kind of starts early, gets to the middle, and just it's forgotten. But it's no big deal. You're gonna see a character interaction. You're gonna see a secondary character interaction with the same character, and then a third time, and then it's by by the middle of the movie, that's basically the last time. Okay. Now, on to the acting. The major characters all are very good at acting. They're very expressive. Their character, they fit very much. Their acting is right on the characters very well. Esmeralda is done as a somewhat adventurous, happy, but also a very loving and fair, honest, just person. Quasimodo is sort of a grumpy guy who is had a lot of hard knocks and all kinds of other stuff, and he's fairly emotional, and that carries step throughout the movie, and he does quite well. Captain of the Guards, Phoebus, or I can't. It's French. Okay, I cannot pronounce French. He is. You clearly see a shift in moods at various points, and he is also a very well done. The actor did also a very good job with the character, and you also see various subjects brought up, and he will change mood very appropriately to those subjects. Then there is Capelin and then one other guy, I forgot his name. The two villains. They are actually quite interesting characters psychologically. I'm not going to go too far into it, but let's just say they kind of have needs and wants issues. Seriously, okay? And that pretty much covers it. As I will straight up shoot across the point, this is a very good movie. Depending on the quality of the print, you know, some of the details kind of get fudged up here and there. But I mean, like the details in the screen, but it's clear. You can tell what's going on, and it all comes together very well. And the end ends where it ends. It ends very properly and clearly. But now on to my fucking rant. When I'm doing research for various things like this, and I do enjoy learning all about all kinds of stuff, but then my autism or my Asperger's kind of kicks in on some of the shit. The Google information card that comes up for this movie has a lot of Disney shit that's blended into it, okay? I'm not fucking joking. I get really irritated when people they start confusing movies and games together. I realize it's based on the same story. It has the same title, but you're taking Disney trailers and shit like that and putting it over this movie. You're kind of erasing the history of this movie by doing that. And this movie is good enough that the history of this movie shouldn't be nudged out of the way for Disney's cancer. Yes. Well, I do say Disney is not that bad, but Disney is. They do a lot of cutifying things for kids, but at the same time they also oversimplify it down too. Yet again, that is for kids. I understand it. It works for the kids, but when you move on from childhood to adulthood, trying to obsess about or overly contaminate the adult stuff with the kid stuff, or the kid stuff with the adult stuff, kind of goes beyond and what one should aspire to do and have done. Okay, I'm wearing a very well worn or Nintendo related video game Nintendo shirt with a piranha plant on it. But yeah. So that's the part that irked me when I was like looking up details, getting the exact spellings of characters' names for stuff like that, and double checking my details. Just noticing a bunch of characters from Disney movies getting inserted into the information for this movie. Okay, and scenes and actors and stuff like that. Just stop. Okay, now on to the third thing is that if you notice in my reviews, I do not put a point score. First and foremost, I don't put point scores on movies because people tend to have this really fudged up tendency when you give like a movie a 9 and another movie an 8. There's an argument, well, I think the 8 is better than the 9. Well, first and foremost, the person who reviewed the movie scored the movie how they like it in the ratio of how they perceive how good it is, and that is not exactly how good it is. If we're going to make an argument that movies, TV shows, paintings, video games, and sculptures, and etc., 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 is art forms, I will very much quite simply state that art is created by the artist to be interpreted by the audience. Now, first and foremost, whenever a critic feels the strong need to put scores, thumbs up, thumbs down, or anything serious like that in a movie review, and they tell you that it is a bad movie, the story elements are shitty, or shit like that, you're going from the art realm to the technical, analytical realm. Stuff can be perfectly good as an art, but be shit in the logical sense. But something can be completely shit. Can be completely shitty as art, but art form, but can be very technically good. Okay, so you get that really strange interplay between the art and the technicalities or the logic of stuff. At least when you get to the more complex forms of art, when we're talking like TV shows, movies, video games, where there's many people working on a project, there is a series of rules or structure that's developed within those more complex forms of art. And now Ebert was Roger and it's Roger Ebert, or yeah, it's Roger Ebert, is it? Good grief, I completely blanked because I kind of just didn't like Ebert so much because of his opinion on video games that I kind of like shit that I'm not even paying attention. Not gonna screw with your shit anymore. But anyways, he tried to throughout his career legitimize movies as an art form. My gripe in that is then he then turned around and pretty much used the argument on a similar level to declare video games as not an art form. First and foremost, his argument is completely ignorant of what is art. His argument is literally opposed to the very basic definition of artwork. His tie up on the definition of art is that the artist or the group of artists, he converted it from just a singular artist or a tiny group of artists to a larger group of artists creating an piece of art to share with an audience. That the artist or artists creating something to show and convey a message to the audience is slightly ignorant of what is art, okay? To be more accurate, the artists create something, a movie, a TV show, song, either an artist or multiple artists, and they create this piece of artwork, and then they present it to the audience, which then the audience has a reaction to, and they interpret it various set of emotions and messages and feelings about it, and the creation of something, in which then is observed by another group, which then has its own interpretations and feelings about that, is basically the knot that is art, okay? So, sorry about that little tail end rant. Okay, now if you so kindly would do so, please consider hitting the like or dislike on this video. Please tell me what you think about this video in the comments if you have any more ideas. Yes, if there is enough demand, I will put it on my list to do spoiler versions of each review. Otherwise, I will do so when I get around to it at some later date, okay? Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful time in wherever you are.